How you guys doing? I hope you're doing excellent. I'm doing great. We're going to do a Bible study from 2 Kings, and this is really interesting. Let's start off 2 Kings 6, around there. Then the king of Syria warned against Israel, and took counsel with his servants, saying, in such and such a place shall be my camp. So what happens here is there's a prophet of God, Elisha, and he keeps telling Israel where the enemy is at. Watch. And the man of God sent unto the king of Israel, saying, beware that thou pass not such a place, for thither the Syrians are come down. And the king of Israel sent to the place which the man of God told him, and warned him of, and saved himself there not once nor twice. Therefore the heart of the king of Syria was sore troubled for this thing, and he called his servants and said unto them, will you not show me which of us is for the king of Israel? In other words, he's like, who's betraying us? How is it that Israel knows, wherever we go, Israel knows our moves, right? Our strategic moves. And one of his servants said, none, my lord. In other words, no one in their camp was betraying him. But Elisha, the prophet that is in Israel, telleth the king of Israel the words that thou speakest in thy bedchamber. And he said, go and spy where he is. So they want to go hunt out Elisha, that I may send and fetch him. And it was told him, saying, behold, he is in Dothan. Therefore sent he thither horses and chariots and a great host, and they came by night and compassed the city about. And when the servant of the man of God was risen early and come forth, behold, a host compassed the city both with horses and chariots. So the servant of Elisha is like, oh my gosh, he sees like that they're surrounded. And his servant said unto him, alas, my master, how shall we do? Like, what are we going to do? And he answered, fear not. Now watch what Elisha says. It doesn't make worldly logical sense. Fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them. And there's only them two there. And Elisha prayed, and watch this is fascinating, and said, Lord, I pray thee, open his eyes, that he may see. And the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha. Now, let's stop here a second. Do you guys really believe that? Do you believe this passage in the Bible? I believe it. I believe it with all my heart, soul, and mind. And when they come down to Elisha, Elisha prayed unto the Lord and said, smite this people, I pray thee, with blindness. And he smote them with blindness according to the word of Elisha. And Elisha said unto them, this is not the way, neither is the city. Follow me, and I will bring you to the man whom you seek. So watch what Elisha does. But he led them to Samaria. This is absolutely hilarious. And it come to pass, when they were coming to Samaria, that Elisha said, Lord, open the eyes of these men that they may see. And the Lord opened their eyes, and they saw, and behold, they were in the midst of Samaria. And the king of Israel said unto Elisha, when he saw them, my father, shall I smite them? Shall I smite them? And he answered, watch what Elisha says, thou shalt not smite them. Wouldst thou smite those whom thou hast taken captive with the sword and with thy bow? Set bread and water before them, that they may eat and drink and go to their master. You see that? That does not make worldly sense, but this is the way of God. And he prepared great provision for them, and when they had eaten and drunk, he sent them away, and they went to their master. So the bands of Syria came no more into the land of Israel. Now what happens is there was a great famine. I got to jump ahead here. There's a great famine in Samaria. And the king of Israel was passing by upon the wall. There cried a woman unto him, saying, help my lord, O king. And he said, if the Lord do not help thee, whence shall I help thee? In other words, look, if God's not helping you, how am I going to help you? And the king said unto her, what aileth thee? What's your problem? And she answered, this woman said unto me, give thy son that we may eat him today, and we will eat my son tomorrow. So we boiled my son and did eat him. And I said unto her on the next day, give thy son that we may eat him. And she had hid her son. So the king's just disgusted with this, right? And he just can't take the madness of this famine. And it came to pass when the king heard the words of the woman that he rent his clothes, and he passed by upon the wall, and the people looked, and behold, look, he had sackcloth within upon his flesh. You want to read that. Why did he have sackcloth within upon his flesh? There's a little hidden message there. Now, let's jump ahead here. This is phenomenal. But Elisha sat in the house, and the elders sat with him, and the king sent a man from before him. But the messenger came to him. He said to the elders, see you how the son of a murderer hath sent to take away mine head. Look, when the messenger cometh, shut the door, and hold him fast at the door. Is it not the sound of his master's feet behind him? So this guy comes in, and Elisha prophesies to him. He says, hear the word of the Lord. Tomorrow about this time shall a measure of fine flour be sold for a shekel. In other words, like, food is going to be very abundant. Then a Lord on whose hand the king leaned answered the man of God and said, behold, if the Lord would make windows in heaven, might this thing be? And he said, behold, thou shalt see it with thine eyes, but shalt not eat thereof. So this man that is with the king says, basically he doesn't believe it's going to happen. He's like, if the Lord would make windows in heaven, might this thing be? And Elisha basically says, well, it's going to happen, but you're not going to eat any of it. Now, how did that happen? Here's this famine. Israel is surrounded by their enemy, but there were 4 leprous men at the entering of the gate, and they said to one another, why sit we here until we die? So basically they're so starving, they're like, let's just go to the enemy camp, and if they kill us, they kill us because we're going to die anyways, or they may spare us and give us food. But why sit here and die, right? So he says, if we say, the lepers say, if we say we will enter into the city, then the famine is in the city, and we shall die there. And if we sit till here, we die also. Now therefore come and let us fall into the host of the Syrians. If they save us alive, we shall live, and if they kill us, we shall but die. In other words, they're like, what do we got to lose, right? We're going to die anyways. Let's go see if we can get some food. And they rose up in the twilight to go into the camp of the Syrians. And when they were come to the uttermost part of the camp of Syria, behold, there was no man there. So picture this. These lepers are going into the camp, and there's no one there. I picture like the campfire is still smoldering and everything. There's food all over, even valuable treasures there. Watch what happens. For the Lord had made the host of the Syrians to hear a noise of chariots and a noise of horses, even the noise of a great host. And they said to one another, lo, the king of Israel hath hired against us. So basically they thought that Israel made like an alliance with some other countries, or some other tribes, like the Hittites and the Egyptians. Wherefore they arose and fled in the twilight, and left their tents and their horses and their asses, even their camp as it was, and fled for their life. So these lepers come into the camp, right? No one's there. Watch. And when these lepers came to the uttermost part of the camp, they went into one tent and did eat and drink, and carried thence silver and gold and raiment, and went and hid it, and came again. So they keep plundering the camp. But then they realize, why their bellies are getting full. They realize, this is not good. It's not morally right. Then they said to one another, we do not do well. This day is the day of good tidings, and we hold our peace. In other words, they're being real quiet about it. If we tarry till the morning light, some mischief will come upon us. Now therefore come, that we may go and tell the king's household. So, I only got about a minute on the video. Long story short, you've got to read this. Go to 2 Kings 6, and it's a fascinating story. And just like Elisha prophesied, let's go. Look, and it came to pass, as the man of God had spoken to the king, saying, 2 measures of barley for a shekel, and a measure of fine flour for a shekel shall be tomorrow about this time at the gate of Samaria. And remember the guy that was all skeptical and was like, oh, I don't believe it. Look, and that Lord, the man there, and that Lord answered the man of God and said, now behold, if the Lord should make windows in heaven, might such a thing be? And he said, behold, thou shalt see it with thine eyes, but shalt not eat thereof. And so it fell out unto him, for the people trode upon him in the gate, and he died. Fascinating story. 2 Kings 6. Elisha is definitely an awesome character in the Bible. You got to read it. God bless you guys. Have a great week.